Hello and welcome to Dig's Sideline Podcast. This is episode 30. My name is Patrick Alonia.
And I am Sam DeCosmo, and joining us today is our very special guest. He's been a friend of mine for the last decade. He comes from a very far and away place where it's cold and everybody has a little bit more cholesterol in their arteries. Everyone, please give it up for Curtis from Wisconsin.
Boo. It's just quiet.
So if you guys haven't guessed already, we are previewing the Vikings-Packers game, and we brought in an official Packer fan. And Curtis, I believe you're actually an owner too. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I'm go to the owners meeting. Make some decision making.
Yeah, how was the owners meeting in Florida this year? Did you bump elbows with Jerry Jones or? Well, I think we have a good game.
I just wanted to, I would just from Jerry Jones. I actually want to fire my head coach.
Yeah, well, I think the Packers are doing a pretty good job at firing their head coach. So, but anyway, that's something we can talk about. Anyway. So this week, Monday Night Football, Vikings-Packers, day before Christmas Eve, and December football. Can't get any better than that.
Can we all quick talk about whoever scheduled this game and how this is either going to ruin or make Christmas?
I suppose it depends which side of the border you live on.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. Well, I think the Vikings-Packers always kind of have a meeting in late December.
Yeah, it's just really close to Christmas there, but
yeah, I got to be honest, I'm a little disappointed, simply because I was anticipating the Bears beating the Packers.
Yeah,
that would make sure that this game was for the NFC North. Curtis is shaking his head. Pat, Curtis, I think the Bears could have done it, and I think had the Packers not gotten a little assistance from the referees, they would have been able to.
Okay, here's the thing about the Bears, and if you want, you can keep talking about the refs all you want. In 2 games that we played against them this year, they only scored 1 touchdown.
That's a good point. In order to win games, you got to score touchdowns, but that Cordero Patterson hit that where you are still claiming that he called the fair catch, he did not call a fair catch. I saw left hand move. Factor in is Tramon Williams, who is not the normal punt returner. So, he's an old man. He might have forgotten to do like the over the head. You don't have to do over the head. You just have to throw it up.
Hey,
you know what?
Curtis, so if I heard correctly, you said that all you have to do is say that you're calling a fair catch and not actually perform the movement?
No, you have to signal. You have to perform some sort of movement, and if you watch his left hand, the left hand goes up. Left hand up is fair catch.
No, there has to be a very specific movement, because I know that in college you can do any movement, but in the NFL, I know a lot of guys will try to do like the baseball safe to say, a lot of times they'll say, hey, it's going over my head, I'm not going for it, but sometimes that will trick the kicking team into not touching you, but in reality, you grab it and run. I've seen Marcus Sherrills do that a few times. He was really good at that.
All right, Curtis, I have one quick question for you. And this is just going to gauge and tell me what kind of a Packer fan you really are. Why don't you break down this 11-3 season and give me your honest opinion if this is a team that should be 11-3, or maybe I'm going to actually let you explain. Just break down this 11-3 season and how you guys are sitting at this point.
All right. So the Packers are 11-3. They have beaten 6 teams at the time the games were played that had winning records. So, and the 2 games that you can say that they played poorly and completely were.
Sorry, Curtis, I think you were cutting out there for a second. Which 2 games were you saying that they were playing poorly in?
So they just completely, can I say shit?
Yeah, we might just need to mark it as explicit.
All right. So they shit the bed against the 49ers and the Chargers, which were both good games. Okay,
I'll let you say your piece. Go ahead. The 49ers and the Chargers. What about the Eagles? Because they lost to the Eagles, who are currently sitting at 7-7.
Look, the Eagles game, if you want to bring up referees handing out wins.
Did I remind you of the Detroit game?
Holy smokes.
Where the refs gave you 2.
And the Vikings game.
And the Vikings
taking away a touchdown. Holy smokes.
Hey, the refs give, the refs take it away. So my whole thing give my whole assessment on the Packers is they are doing enough to win ugly, but they're winning.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Yeah, I'll give you that.
I'll give you that.
So, Curtis, I do want to read off a couple quick statistics on the Vikings and the Packers rankings, right? So, offensive-wise, the Vikings are 10th in the league. The Packers are 21st. Defense, Vikings are 14th. Packers are 23rd. Passing, the Vikings are 12th. Packers are 17th. Rushing, Vikings are 4th. Packers are 17th. And then referee assistance, of course, we're 32nd, and you guys are first in the league. But aside from
that stat is more of a meme than anything else. I will say that. But
aside from that, I mean, you gotta agree. We could.
But one thing.
Go ahead, Curtis.
One thing you have to say about the Packers is they are bend but don't break defense, and they are number 4, I think, in the NFL in total red zone defense as far as like touchdown efficiency.
Yeah, but again, I want to.
We will not let you talk about
I
that.
just go back to that Carolina Panthers game where they could have put you away. They didn't give the ball to Christian McCaffrey. I know.
They didn't, though.
There's a lot. Here's what I'm saying is with all the stats that Pat just read off, it seems like the Vikings are playing really good football, almost to a higher level than the Green Bay Packers when you talk about run game efficiency and pass game efficiency. Aaron Rodgers
Who have you guys played?
With the exact same people as you. The only people that we haven't played that you guys have played were the Seahawks, and we lost to them in a much closer game than what you lost to the 49ers. That game was a blowout. That game was
41 donut.
The spirit of 41 donut was alive and well. You let the Redskins hang around. You let the Giants hang around. I think the Vikings are playing better football.
Doesn't matter.
You guys are the worst 11-3 football team that I have seen in years.
It does. Look, here's what I'll say, and this might sound homerish for Packer fans or whatever, but we're doing enough to win, even if it's ugly, and that can be enough to win in close games. So what I'll say about the Vikings, sweating a whole lot about Monday night, is Kirk Cousins can't win on Monday Night Football. You guys aren't playing with Dalvin Cook. Adam Thielen is banged up and on a pitch count. Your guards are both hurt, so Kenny Clark is going to mess up Kirk Cousins'
That's a really
world.
good point. It's going to be a tough game, and I'll tell you what. Pat and I believe, are going to be able to will ourselves to victory. So the game is going to be broadcast on Monday Night Football, and we decided that it was in everyone's best interest if we didn't have to listen to Booger McFarland. So we were able to source some tickets.
You know how I feel about Booger. I hate Booger.
I know. Booger's the absolute worst. And I say it every week. ESPN really missed the boat. I think they need to get McAfee and Orlovsky in the booth, and that would just be must-see TV. And Curtis agrees. So if Vikings fans and Packers fans can agree about something, I think ESPN should probably listen.
Right.
But anyway, out of pure hatred for listening to Booger McFarland, we decided to purchase tickets. So Pat and I will actually be at the game, and we'll be doing everything we can to make sure Aaron Rodgers can't hear the call from the sideline.
Doesn't matter. I'll tell you what. Look, this will tell you what kind of a Packers fan I am. It doesn't matter how Aaron Rodgers plays this year because he's not winning games for the Packers this year. What's winning games for the Packers this year is Darius Smith, Preston Smith, Kenny Clark, and Jair Alexander.
I don't know. I mean, the defense isn't really. I mean,
I'll give you Zadarius Smith. That guy is phenomenal. I do love watching that guy wholeheartedly.
Yeah, but I mean, they're preventing NFC North teams from scoring. But you were able to let the Eagles put up 34 points on you, and I'm not sure if they still have their wide receivers at that point or not. The Lions put up 22 points. The Cowboys put up 24 points. The Raiders put up 24 points. I mean, granted, in all of those games, the Packers were able to come away, but Aaron Rodgers was the one who was willing them to victory. And Aaron Rodgers, I don't think, is playing the best football of his career. I mean, he's still a top 10 quarterback in the league, but geez, I just don't think he's playing the best football of his career. 2 interceptions? Yeah, but all
24 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Yeah, but how many of those are, screens to Aaron Jones, or how many of them are to Devontae Adams whose hands, I mean, and I want to get your thoughts on the throw to Marquez Valdes-Scantling early, because that was a miss. Was that ball overthrown or was that missed by MVS?
No, MVS just moved his hands in too quick, so just like reaches out and catches it. He's scoring a 70-yard touchdown on the first play of the game.
Yeah,
I'm not in the minority of Packers fans when I say that MVS has regressed. Geronimo Allison gets way too many snaps. Kumaro and Lazard.
Yeah.
Their chemistry with Rodgers, and they get yards after the catch.
I really like Lazard. He's a big-bodied guy. He does get yards after the catch because he's a big physical human being, and he's difficult to take down. I think he's going to be he's going to be a problem for the Vikings, and I think that the Viking secondary is going to really need. So they're going to be paying Devontae Adams extra attention, but I think that they need to put some extra attention on Lazard and Mike Hughes. He's a very technical cornerback. I think they're going to need to put some size up against that. So I actually think that we might see Trey Waynes covering Devontae Adams, and we might see Mike Hughes combination with Xavier Rhodes over Lazard, maybe with some Ant Harris help over the top.
In my opinion, I think we're going to see a lot of 4 wide receiver sets against the Packers here. I think
from the Packers?
From the Packers. I know for a fact that they want man-to-man coverage, and our cornerbacks have just been poor this year. Let's just say it how it is.
And I don't even think they've been poor. I think that they've been technically sound. I just think that they're undersized.
Well, whatever it is, they're just not matching up well, and they're not getting the job done.
Yeah.
Not in prior years.
Like we talked about it in the last episode, the pass that Mike Williams brought down.
Right.
I mean, Mike Williams is just a bigger human being.
Yeah, so that was like an outlier there, but...
Right.
But still, I just think Rodgers does such a phenomenal job of recognizing mismatches, and if he can hone in on that throughout the game until Mike Zimmer makes an adjustment, he will continually go after whoever it is that's being mismatched.
I agree. So, Curtis, there's something I wanted to talk about in the Bears game. It seemed like there was a lot of fourth down play, and I haven't watched every single Packers game this year. You've probably seen more than I have. Is going forward on fourth down something that the Packers have been doing a lot this year? Or is that just a game time decision that they had to make against the Bears in that situation?
I think it was weather dependent because of the kicking conditions. And I'll say Crosby's been having a phenomenal year since week 5 or whatever it was last year when he blew 5 kicks against the Lions. 8%.
He's what percent? You were cutting out there.
It was like 98 or something. Like he's missed like 2 field goals since week 5 of last year. It's insane. But I think it was just field conditions, and I wouldn't put much stock in it.
So you think we're going to see more traditional play calling against the Vikings on fourth down?
I would say so, but then one thing you guys are going to need to look out for is if you're putting too much attention on Devontae and Lazard, look out for Jay Sternberger, which you guys have not heard of, but who was our third-round rookie tight end that is getting open.
Yawn.
One thing.
Hey, Yawn.
I'm looking at your receiving core. I'm not seeing his name pop up at all.
Yawn.
I see Jimmy Graham as your tight end. Who's your other tight end? Who's your second string? Mercedes Lewis. I see those two on here. I don't see that guy. Jake
Sternberger. Look, this is a deep cut, so this is why you bring me on the show. This is a deep cut that you're not getting. But one thing he's an NFL guy that's like big film rat that just tape every weekend. So he's showing all these wheel routes that Sternberger is running that are like just misses because Rodgers is not seeing him. Like the last 3 weeks, he's 4 yards down the field open for a touchdown. They're going to get it this week.
Right. I completely agree. I think their receiving core is a threat. I do think that there are some deep cuts on that team. But I think if we can take care of business, if our starters can take care of their A-list guys like Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard and Jimmy Graham, then I think our interior linebackers, I think Eric Kendricks is going to do a good job, in coverage against that. I think the key to this game is going to be honestly stopping the run. Aaron Jones has been having a phenomenal year, and he is just, how many touchdowns does he have this year?
17 touchdowns, babe.
Is that both combination receiving and rushing? Yeah,
he's definitely simmered down a little bit in recent weeks. Has he not?
Yeah, but he's one of those guys that he's kind of, so last year, and Curtis, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he was a little bit beefier. He was a stockier guy, kind of more of an in between the tackles. And this year, you kind of see him shifting more towards the Alvin Kamara type, where he's running out into the flat and catching a ball, and running those wheel routes and doing that hybrid running back type of stuff. And that, I think that's actually a real credit to the work ethic that he put in the offseason, slimming down.
So I think the biggest key for the Packers going into this game is going to be stopping Daniil Hunter.
Dude
Curtis, I got to get your opinion. Do you have any opinion on Daniil Hunter? Have you even heard of him?
Dude, you're asking if I
It's a joke. It's a joke.
It's a joke.
He's first team All-Pro for sure.
Yeah, I know. It's a joke because Viking players always get overlooked. But
he's low-key defensive player of the year right now.
Yeah. I mean, youngest player to reach 50 sacks at the age of 25.
No.
What?
Who's your defense?
TJ Watt.
I guess I haven't been following the Steelers as close.
I don't even.
But you know
Curtis
what?
is just saying names just to say names at this point.
Well, I will say in terms of the Steelers, they are still in the playoff hunt right now.
They're 16th,
and their offense, they're on their third string quarterback. They don't have. This is their first year without Bell or Brown.
Listen, man, Mike Tomlin was in Minnesota. Was a Minnesota bred player.
And Juju's been out for a long time, so they've been down to some guy named Washington.
Yeah. You got to give him credit.
So that defense has really been putting that team.
And
together.
that's Mike Tomlin.
And it's Mike Tomlin, Coach of the Year. Which, by the way,
can I talk about?
Go ahead, Curtis.
Can I talk about Daniil Hunter?
Yes,
please.
He going after the right tackle or left tackle, or does he go across the line?
He's usually on the left side.
Yeah, he's usually on the left side, but he can do both.
So you're right tackle.
Yeah.
Okay. So our right tackle, Brian Balaga, in 2 games this year against Khalil Mack.
Yeah. He did shut down Khalil
Mack. Has been very quiet. Yeah. So
Mack was very quiet last week. So I mean, it's going to be a really good matchup. But Daniil Hunter's just been playing lights out, and and the Bears. So Akeem Hicks was in and out of that game. Roquan Smith was out, so I think our pass rush is a little more stout than what the Bears was last week.
Here's one thing I can confidently say that you will see Rodgers in a lot of shotgun formation this game because one thing he does really well is getting rid of the ball out of his hands very quickly. And if we can't get to Rodgers, then we don't have any hope.
Well, and I feel like the strength of the Packers offense in past years has been broken plays where Aaron Rodgers was able to escape, extend the play, and get the ball downfield. Yep. But I feel like in LaFleur's system, that's almost kind of what's holding them back.
Agreed. Like he's much better and more predictable when he's hitting his in-time throws. Like the best drive that we had against the Bears was coming out of halftime, where he hit that slant to Davante Adams that goes for like 40 yards down the field. So those timing throws are where
they're not going to be able to get off against the Vikings linebackers.
Because when he tries to hold the ball, he waits for like the perfect thing to develop, and then it's not always there.
I'll tell you one thing. U.S. Bank Stadium, when the Packers offense is on the field, is going to be loud. And it's not going to just be the first quarter. It's going to be all 4 quarters of the game. I am fully ready to get tinnitus during this game.
Sam, I'm so glad we're going.
Blame the Army for it.
Well, I'm telling you, as somebody who already has a little bit of tinnitus as a field artilleryman, is LaFleur is...
LaFleur's what?
Crowd noise. He's getting ready for that stuff. He's injecting the crowd noise into practice, taking something out of the Vikings playbook when they injected crowd noise into their stadium.
Oh, stop. That never happened. I don't know what you're talking about. Curtis, I have no idea what you're talking about. I think the keys to the Packers offense is that offense runs through Aaron Jones. And I think if we can isolate him and make Aaron Rodgers use his targets, if we can isolate him and Davante Adams, I think that the Vikings defense can overcome. But if there's one thing that I've learned in watching the Packers this year is that offense this year runs through Aaron Jones. Curtis, do you have anything else to say about the Packers offense?
The only caveat I would say is never heard of just to make a crazy play.
Yeah.
Because that's just the way the Packers offense has worked this year. So I'm throwing Sternberger out there because I know you guys haven't heard of him. But then you're not going to stop Davante Adams. Like, the dude is top 5 receiver in the NFL.
Yeah. He's amazing. He's amazing.
The one thing... No
injury.
Yeah, I really like Davante. There's a lot of and you know this, being a Packers fan who lived in Vikings country for a long, long time. There can be a lot of hate, and honestly, sometimes it gets to be a little bit too over the top. I love the relationship between Davante Adams and Stephon Diggs on Twitter. Yeah, they respect each other, and I feel like that is the olive branch between the two teams to because I honestly think that you need to respect your opponent if you're going to legitimately game plan for them. If you just consider that it's a rival and it's going to be a gritty game and they suck and the fans can have that mindset all day long, but as a player you really need to respect your opponent, and I think that there's a healthy competitive respect there, and I like seeing that out of them. So moving on to go ahead.
that the Packers always get, and it's because Davante Adams is a beast off the line.
Yeah.
Breaks off cornerbacks.
Yeah.
Hang on, wait, was that a shot at me? Did you say that Pat always says?
Yes.
Oh.
Hang on.
Go ahead, Pat. Defend yourself.
I'm getting mixed up right now. You're talking about off the line, or are you talking about the ones where it's like a Hail Mary and the refs are just throwing flags because it's a good time to throw a flag and get the Packers another go at it?
No, I'm saying that the Packers are the benefit of a lot of defensive holding calls off the line of scrimmage because Davante Adams is that good at his...
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever, like...
And the way that Rhodes is...
I don't know if I've ever, like... said that on the podcast. Have I said
Well, I think I've said it quite a few times where half of the Packers playbook, especially in their 2-minute offense, is hucking the ball 70 yards on the field.
I agree with
a DPI.
I agree with the huck and DPI, but I don't know about any like on anywho. So
all right, so moving on. So it's getting a little chippy in this.
It's getting a little personal here, Curtis.
Curtis is throwing the scotch back a little too. The night is young.
The night is young.
The night is young. All right, so Vikings offense, Packers defense. What are our initial thoughts, Curtis? As the guest, we'll give you the first thought.
Kenny Clark is playing dominant football.
Kenny Clark is playing dominant football, but our offensive line.
Well, no. Let me quick say something.
Go ahead.
No. Curtis is spot on because in the game against the Packers, the week 2 or 3, whatever week that was, we couldn't run the ball to save our lives.
It's true.
And
until Dallin broke off that 75-yard touchdown.
Minus the 70-yard touchdown up the middle, but I was crying for more pitches to the outside to get us out of the trenches there because it just was not working.
Yeah.
So I'll agree with you 100%.
He's up the inside run game.
Kenny
and
Clark,
honestly, with Dalvin Cook out and Alexander Mattison a question mark, it looks like Mike Boone is going to be the guy that's going to be running up the middle.
Right.
You know, you might see Amir Abdullah getting shifty and getting to the outside and catching passes, but Mike Boone is going to be the one going up the middle.
But like you were saying, Curtis, so Kenny Clark.
So Clark, he's got the most pressures of any defensive tackle not named Aaron Donald. So that's big news for him in a contract year. So he's going to get some big-time cash this year.
How's the Packers salary cap looking, by the way? Because I feel like Aaron Rodgers is taking up at least a third of the entire salary cap.
He's not making more money than Kirk Cousins.
Oh, BS. He's making like $35 million this year.
No, he's not. He's making like $28 million.
Does it get incremental? Oh, so it adjusts with the inflation of the salary cap, but still, when you average that out, that's like a third of the team's salary cap. That's crazy.
But Sam, he's worth it. Come on, bud.
I know, but how are you going to pay somebody like Kenny Clark when you have a guy that's just holding your salary cap back?
They'll find a way. Aaron Rodgers is worth every dollar that they've given him. I'm going to say that. Aaron Rodgers gives me nightmares.
I don't know. I feel like he's still a very good player, but he's just not playing the best quarterback of his career. He's just not playing his best football. In my opinion, he's definitely playing better than when he was with Olivia Munn. I think you're right. You're right there. When he was with Olivia Munn, there were some serious issues going on.
I don't think anyone.
I was hoping they would never break up.
I don't think anyone's debating that he's not playing as well as he. I mean, granted, he is getting older. We can all agree on that, right?
Yeah, but so is Tom Brady. Look at him.
I thought we were talking about the defense.
Yeah, no, we are.
This is what happens with Sam and I. We get really off topic.
So I think you're right. So with Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison, Dalvin's out, and with Alexander Mattison being a question mark, I really think that the game is going to fall on the shoulder of Kirk Cousins, and we're gonna see how Adam Thielen's hammy is doing, and we're gonna see Stephon Diggs break out. And you know who we're gonna see? I think who we're gonna see have a huge game is BC Johnson. BC Johnson, he made the team as our WR4. Chad Beebe went out, so he got the call to be our WR3.
He's played very well.
He's played very, very well. He has a couple touchdown catches.
3 or 4, yeah.
And I can't speak for the Packers secondary, but I think that they'll do a good job of isolating our 1 and 2 guys, but I don't think that they can hold down our third. You know, I think we're going to see a big game out of BC Johnson. Well, how is the Packers secondary looking, Curtis?
I don't know if you heard of him.
Who? I didn't hear who you said.
Jair Alexander.
Oh my gosh! Come on, dude.
Isn't he like 1,000 years old?
No, he's relatively newer, but
is he?
I remember.
I just feel like I've heard his name.
Yeah, do you know why? Because I remember last year, the year before, he talked mad shit. I'm gonna curse there on Adam Thielen, and Adam Thielen went off against him that game. He couldn't. Jair Alexander couldn't cover him if he was the size of King Kong.
Okay, you know what Thielen and Diggs did against him in week 3 or whenever you guys played us? 2 catches for like 40 yards.
Yeah, but I wonder on how many targets that is. Yeah, but Adam Thielen, I think Adam Thielen is the best in the game when catching in tight coverage. If you look at the game last year against the Saints, which is another game that we were at, but he literally went over the back of the defender and caught the ball. We should plug that piece of film in here because that's just...
Well, Sam's going to make me have to go back to YouTube, find the clip, cut it out.
No. It's... Now, I just think something like that, it's just absolutely... he's the best at catching in coverage. I do wonder how his hammy is doing, but we'll see.
Yeah, so you should know about me is I love defensive line play and I love cornerback play. So I love watching Jair because he is top 5 in the NFL in pass breakups, number 1. But he hasn't allowed more than 3 catches and 40 yards to a number 1 receiver all season. The 40... never threw at him because he's that good.
So how much of that is the defensive line?
Yeah, how much of that is them getting pressure?
Because I think we all know in football you can't just say that one player is doing this well because there's so many facets to the game that you can't
wheel it on back to 2017. That's exactly what we were saying about Xavier Rhodes because he was playing shutdown. So, I mean, I feel like I've been hearing Jair Alexander's name all over the TV. That's why I said it feels like he's 1,000 years old because I hear his name called 15 times a game.
And maybe he's coming around. Clearly he is.
I just think that our receiving core has been doing so well. I just don't think that you have enough defensive pieces to account for everything that we're going to have on the field because we're going to have Diggs, Thielen, BC Johnson. We're going to have Irv Smith, and we're going to have Kyle Rudolph out on the field. And I think we'll see a lot of 5 receiver sets with the running back situation the way it is. I'm actually kind of excited to see how the Vikings offense adjusts to not having that Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison piece in the back.
Well, I was going to say, us not having Cook is going to be the biggest factor, as obvious as that is.
Right.
As obvious as that is. You guys are going to game plan 10 times differently than you would if Cook was playing.
Right. And I think we're gonna see the real mettle of our offensive line and how they can pass. We know our offensive line can run block. We're gonna see how well they can pass block here. And I think coming into the playoff stretch, I think that's gonna be important to know for our offensive coordinators because we're gonna need to drum up some a new half of a playbook at least to get through the postseason with new creative stuff that these defenses haven't seen before. And I say that because I want to segue into this playoff conversation. So the only hope, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I was really hoping that the Bears would beat the Packers, and they just about did. The Packers let them hang around right until the very last play of the game, where the Bears could have lateraled, and they decided not to. But that's neither here nor there. So now the only hope that the Vikings have of taking the NFC North is the Lions taking down the Packers, which also could have happened had Matt Stafford not, had he been in. But they're down to their third string quarterback. I realistically don't see that happening. So I think the fact of the matter is the Vikings are going to be entering as a 6th seed. And I honestly, I know that the Packers are sitting in the 2 seed right now, but I think that they're going to be falling to the 3 seed. And that's going to have a lot to do with the Vikings going in to our home turf, Monday Night Football, U.S. Bank Stadium, Vikings-Packers, and taking care of business. So we might not be able to take the NFC North, but we'll be able to knock the Packers out of the 2 seed. And I think that that's going to be important because then we will be seeing them again.
Gladly.
Wild card weekend in Lambeau Field.
Take me to Lambeau Field. Wild card weekend. Take me there, Curtis.
Lambeau Field?
Are we buying tickets?
Curtis, what do you think?
Matt, you don't want this smoke, baby. Matt, you don't want this smoke, baby.
Oh, I've been there before. I want it. I've been there before.
Curtis, do you think the Packers are going to be able to hold on to the 2 seed?
I'll tell you what. Out, obviously, shocker, but I think they're going to win Monday night against you guys. So I got them 13-3.
So
I got them 13-3.
Well,
and being the 2 seed.
That's actually a really interesting point. So we were saying how the Lions would be the Vikings' ticket to the NFC North. Right now, the Vikings are the ticket to keeping the Packers from being the two seed.
Yeah, that's very true.
You know, so basically, yeah, if the Vikings can't take care of business, which they will take care of business, then the Packers are essentially the number 2 seed. Which, you know, I think that means that we would then have to go down to New Orleans, which I'd honestly rather go to Lambeau Field than New Orleans.
Much rather go to Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
You guys are not 11-3.
Pat, with the amount of stuff that we've been talking about, we're not.
You're not what?
We're not a paper tiger, man. We are a valid contender at 11-3.
I mean, you said it yourself, Curtis. You're winning, but you're winning ugly. You let the Bears hang around. You let the Redskins hang around. You let the Giants hang around.
I think that
you lost to the Chargers. You lost to the Eagles.
Hang on, that defeat against the Niners told me everything I need to know. The look on Aaron Rodgers, man, when he's defeated, man, does he look sad
Honestly,
and pathetic. That guy can't lead. That guy, when he's out, he's done. The game's over when Rodgers is like, I'm done.
You know what that game reminded me of? That game reminded me of the NFC Championship where the Vikings played the Eagles. And it's just like we thought we were this great team, but we just weren't ready to play with the big boys.
No.
You know, that's what the Packers looked like, you know, in that game against San Francisco.
Here's the other factor that I'll say is, like, we're going to have to play home games given. I don't think that the New Orleans Saints are going to beat the Tennessee Titans this weekend.
Really?
Which means I think the Titans are going to beat New Orleans.
Oh, my God. You sound like Sam every week telling me that Drew Brees sucks and the Saints are awful.
I like that take.
I bet you do, Sam.
Ryan Tannehill has been playing lights
Give me a
out.
break. We should end the podcast right now.
If the Saints win that game, it's going to be because of Michael Thomas and that defense. But
you use the pieces you got. What?
Not Drew Brees,
dude.
They should be putting Teddy in. Teddy's the better quarterback on the roster.
Curtis, do you think Drew Brees is still a top 5 quarterback today, right now?
Are you asking me if Drew Brees is a top
Yeah.
quarterback? No.
Ha!
No, you guys are friends. This is dumb.
No, the Drew Brees of 3-4 years ago, absolutely, but the Drew Brees of today is absolutely not a top 5
Okay,
quarterback.
Curtis, give me your top 5 quarterbacks right now. In order.
In order?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or roughly in order. It doesn't have to be spot on, but
Russell Wilson is the best quarterback in football right now.
Over Lamar Jackson?
No, I'll agree with Russell Wilson. I will agree with Curtis on that.
Just because of the passing game,
because of his knowledge and the way he plays, it's invaluable what he brings.
Okay.
And here's my thing: is you can't put Lamar anywhere close. Like, we've seen a regression from Mahomes in year 2 because defensive coordinators have had a chance to look at his tape.
They always adapt. Right. Yep.
That's a really good point.
It's even like Cam Newton. Same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Mahomes is still top 5, so I'll put him in there still. Let's see. So I got Russell Wilson. I'm in no particular order. So
yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah.
Rodgers is still playing at top 5 level.
Holy frick. Okay, let's just exclude that one for now. Let's just exclude that for now. We heard it. Let's just take it out. So you got Russell Wilson.
No,
and
we'll give it to him because I would put Kirk in my top 5.
Okay, I want to hear top 6. I want to hear top 6 then.
All right.
Drew Brees. Have you heard of him before?
No. No. Yeah,
he makes a deep throw.
Yeah, Michael Thomas is literally getting triple the looks of anyone else on that team. Triple the targets, triple the receptions. He is single-handedly carrying that team.
Oh, we're doing this again where we're getting off on a Drew Brees tangent. I just find it ridiculous. That's all. It's almost disrespectful is how I view it. Anyways, okay. So,
I put Watson in there, so he's playing top 5 level.
So you'll take Watson's inexperience and youth over Drew Brees' knowledge and his ability to adjust to the line and basically give the guy 2 minutes with the game on the line and give him 2 minutes with the game on the line. I don't care if he's got Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, whoever he's got, because every team has pieces. So you draft players. You can't tell me with 2 minutes on the clock you don't trust that guy with the ball as a top 5 quarterback.
Can't make the deep throw.
He
can when he needs to.
He can't make the deep throw when he needs to. Can he lead a team through a 2-minute drill and come out victorious? Yes, but so can 10 other quarterbacks in the league.
But I would rather take Brees today over a majority of those people with 2 minutes on the clock left. No. Yes, I would.
All right, we've beat this dead horse. So So Vikings-Packers, regardless of how it shakes out, there's still huge playoff implications. The NFC North, I don't think is up for grabs anymore. I think the Packers have that, but there's huge playoff implications. We can knock them out of that first round bye and then get our revenge in Lambeau Field. How sweet would it be to go to Lambeau Field on Wild Card Weekend and just silence? And the silence you hear is Lambeau Field
crying.
You ain't
All right, Sam. We're getting way ahead of ourselves here.
You ain't got it.
Let's just wait. Everybody, let's hold our brakes here. We got a game to play Week 16 here.
I know. I'm just so excited. It's going to be a good game. We've had this one circled on our calendars for a long time. And Curtis, I know that as a Packer fan, you'll say that the rivalry with the Bears means more to you than the rivalry with the Vikings. And from a historical perspective, I get it. But you have to admit that in recent years, the rivalry with the Vikings has been much more of a competitive matchup, and it's been more blow for blow.
What I'll say, and I know you guys agree with me on this, is we've been through the lows of the NFC North. So it is fantastic to be playing meaningful December football in the division.
Yes.
Yeah, that is fair. Yeah, that is one thing that we can appreciate all of us
agree.
right now, that this game means something.
All right, so Curtis, one thing that we do on this podcast is we take a look at the Vegas line and then we give our score predictions. So
I never gamble.
You never gamble? You're not a gambling man, huh?
Nope. Never gamble.
Are you being sarcastic? Because I don't actually know you. No answer. Crickets.
No, I legitimately don't.
Okay.
I gamble with my life and with other. I gamble with my life and other people's lives. I don't gamble with money.
Okay.
So the last time I looked at the line was before the Vikings announced that Dalvin Cook is going to be out, and when I looked at that line, it was the Vikings by 4.5. I'm trying to figure out what the line is right now, but let's just have the conversation as if it is Vikings by 4.5. Curtis, with that line in mind, what is your prediction for this game? Score-wise.
Just a score prediction?
Score predictions, yep.
Well, I have to back up what I was putting out on Twitter earlier and just breaking Vikings fan hearts, but I'm going to say...
I've already screenshotted it all.
Oh, you know what? The line actually improved to Vikings by 5.5.
So, Curtis, I misheard what you said there. What was your prediction?
31-14 Packers.
31-14.
That's disrespectful.
Wow.
In our house?
My favorite part about this...
think so.
My favorite part is that this is all recorded.
I know. Oh, I know. We're going to be able to circle back to the tapes. It's going to be a meme. It's going to be perfect.
Wow.
Pat, what do you have for score predictions? Again, the line has moved to Vikings by 5.5.
I've got... Forget the line. I just want to know score here. I've got 24-21 Vikings.
24-21.
Yep. It's going to be a 3-point game.
Yeah.
In Vikings' favor.
So a gritty game in
very
the trenches
gritty.
decided by a field
gritty.
goal.
Yep.
Interesting.
What about you, Sam?
So I think it's going to be a little bit more one-sided than that. I think that it's going to be the Vikings by 28, the Packers 17.
Okay.
I think the Vikings cover the spread. I think the Packers score a couple touchdowns early, and then in the second half, all they can get is a field goal. I think Zimmer will make some adjustments, and we'll figure. That's how the Packers have kind of been doing every game. Is they get a big lead early on, they score on their first few drives, and then they just kind of coast through the rest of the game. My
least favorite thing about the Vikings is we did the same thing.
The Vikings have been doing the
exact
same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Curtis, do you agree with that assessment? Like they've been scoring touchdowns early, but then just kind of letting the other team hang around.
I think that's just the nature of a new offense with a play caller 1 year as an offensive coordinator, now as a head coach. So the Packers are like number one in efficiency in the first quarter, and then in the third quarter coming out of halftime when all the plays are scripted.
Sure.
The problem becomes when they have to improvise and actually
So, what I would like to see out of Aaron Rodgers is kind of what we saw out of Peyton Manning in his twilight years, where Peyton Manning was essentially the offensive coordinator. He'd get up to the line and change the play every single time. And I think that if he was able to do that, the Packers would see a little bit more success later in those drives. I mean, if there's one thing Aaron Rodgers has, it's football IQ.
Oh, for sure. Well, and you know what game comes to mind is the one against Kansas City there, where it was the end of the game, and I think it was maybe a fourth down, and and they decided to go for it. And Rodgers knew exactly what he wanted to do. He went back to it. I think it was a running back, probably Aaron Jones on a linebacker, right? It was just a simple up and out route, and he just nailed it. And I sat there and I was like, yeah, of course that was easy.
Right.
That's exactly what they did the play before, and Rodgers he knew exactly what he wanted there.
Right, and he went up and told LaFleur.
He told LaFleur,
and LaFleur said, "Go win the game."
And he said, "Go win the game," and Rodgers laughed, and I said, "Okay, turn off the TV."
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's I think that he would see a lot more success if he just kind of took a little bit more command of the offense there, and he wasn't worried about stepping. I think because there wasn't.
Well, that was the issue with Mike McCarthy. I feel like that was the issue. He doesn't want to stir that up again.
Right. Exactly. Is that he was stepping on Mike McCarthy's toes, and that eventually got him fired. But Curtis probably has more thoughts on that than me.
The offense runs through Aaron Jones. So, and then that either catches out of the backfield or just running the damn ball. The more that he touches the football, the more games that we win.
I think we're going to see a lot of Eric Kendricks on a lot of Aaron Jones. I think that's going to be the hallmark of the game. But that's just
if you're committing Kendricks to Jones, which I would because he's your best coverage linebacker, it's going to open up the tight ends in the middle of the field. So, I'm seeing big games from the Packers tight ends or from crossing route coming in with Aaron Jones being a distraction again.
We'll see. We'll see.
Guys, it's going to come down to trenches. I think our pass rush is better than your offensive line, and I think our offensive line is better than your pass rush.
Your offensive line. Are you counting the additional 9 folks that wear zebra jerseys? As part of your offensive line?
He is. Yeah, he doesn't know it, but he is.
The starting 5 offensive line. Look, David Bakhtiari is PFF's #1 rated left tackle in the NFC. Brian Bulaga went 400 snaps this year without allowing a sack. So our tackles are playing out of there.
Yeah, they've been playing really well, but so have the flags that have been flying. All right, so this is something that we usually do when we have a guest on. We're just going to kind of go through and do final thoughts on the game. I kind of gave mine with I think we'll see a lot of Eric Kendricks on Aaron Jones. We'll let Curtis have the last word since he's the guest. So Pat, what do you think are going to be the highlights of the game here?
Okay, so I don't know about highlights, but here's how I think
final thoughts.
Here's how I think the game's going to go. I think both teams are talented enough to score points. That's a given, right? Both teams are talented enough. I think it's going to come down to who turns the ball over less. Even if it's by 1, I think that's going to be enough to make a difference. And whoever does turn that ball over, the other team will capitalize, and that'll be the difference.
So whoever's going to win the turnover battle.
Exactly. That's going to be my final take.
All right, Curtis.
Well, Pat's
What's that?
number 2 in the NFL right now. The Packers are number 2 in the NFL right now in turnover.
You know that the Vikings just had 7 turnovers last week, right?
Yeah, Sam. That's an outlier. I don't.
To a team that beat the Packers. So, just saying. All right.
Packers are second in the NFL behind the Patriots in turnover differential, and that's just because they're getting crazy amounts of interceptions this year, which is a complete outlier. So I agree with Pat. Whoever gets the turnover battle is going to get the edge. Are your 2 starting guards still out or still hurt?
I don't think so. I haven't seen them on the injury report this week. No.
Okay, but they're banged up because I remember watching last week and they got were in and out of the game. I think in the trenches, Kenny Clark is going to run inside. He's going to get pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah. So sorry for Curtis's audio that cut out, but he was saying that Kenny Clark is going to be basically destroying the
garbage
interior.
And non-relevant.
No, he was saying that he thinks that he's going to destroy the offensive interior line of the Vikings, which we'll give him that as his final thought. So join us next time on Dig Sideline Podcast. We'll be reviewing the Vikings-Packers game, and I'm sure we'll be dissecting it with a fine-tooth comb with the playoffs coming up. We'll want to know what worked and what didn't. And I just wanted to give a shout-out to Curtis. Thank you for being on the podcast. And thank you to our viewers. I know that there's going to be some technical difficulties. Thanks for sticking with us. And I also wanted to plug Curtis actually has his own podcast. It's actually not...
Don't talk about my podcast.
You don't want me to plug your podcast? All right. Sounds good. Well, if you like books, you probably have seen his podcast because they are taking over the world of literary right now and the internet. So,
well, Curtis, I just want to say thank you for coming on too. There were bits where my ears were hurting, but I managed to pull through.
All right. So, yeah. So join us next time on Dig Sideline Podcast. And until then, Skol Vikings.
Thanks, guys.